Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andrew from the Money Is Show, and today I've got a really cool guest for you. Actually, not one, but two guests right here from Utah, actually, that's disrupting the solar industry. Now, so if you guys understand energy and solar, I've always thought of it kind of a new age thing, but being a huge fan of Elon and so forth, I love disrupting what's already there in business and flipping it on its head to figure out what's a way better process or idea of how to run that industry. These two guys are doing that right now in the solar energy world. So I'm gonna bring on two of them. Number one's gonna be the founder, Tyler, who founded the company, and number two will be Landon, the CEO of the company. Write this down, raysolar.com. You guys can go check it out a little bit later. First, let's meet these guys and we'll ask them a bunch of questions about business and how it affects you and your business today. Tyler, Landon, great to have you on the show, man. Thanks for coming out. Long drive for you.
Yeah.
Most people fly here from across the country, and you guys rode almost your bicycles here. You could have walked down here.
We barely made it in time. Traffic was horrible.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah. Brutal traffic in Utah. It's one of the things I love being out here in Utah, because coming from Atlanta, traffic is just the worst. I don't know how much you know about Atlanta traffic. It's like LA traffic. It is god awful horrible. But in Utah, dude, there's like hardly any traffic anywhere that I run into. More like at a stop sign is probably more traffic.
Yeah, or the roundabouts.
Yeah, the roundabouts really slow me down.
We can't figure them out here in Utah.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, I'm glad you guys came on. You guys have a really cool business model that I, as a business owner, am super attracted to just because of what it's doing, right? There's a lot of businesses that are out there that are doing the same thing. Nothing wrong with that, right? Landscaper, he cuts grass, that's what he does, and other landscapers cut grass, right? Nothing wrong with it. It's a proven model, right? Totally for it. And then there's business owners that jump into a business that say, okay, how does this business work right now currently in the world, the market, and how can we completely disrupt that freaking industry, which is what you guys are doing.
Yep.
Freaking badass. Yep. And I love that stuff. Matter of fact, one of the coolest stories I love, which you guys being in technology, was with Zuckerberg. Have you ever been out there to San Jose or Facebook campuses? So I went out and shot some videos out there. And if you go to they have tons of campuses, of course. You go there and it's kind of their main campus for Facebook. It's an old Sun Microsystems building. Yeah. So Sun Microsystems, obviously massive company back in the day, right? Huge. And Facebook, obviously, they kind of went under during the crash, and Facebook bought their building, which is this like, I don't know, several 100,000 square foot building. It's like a campus, right? And on the front of the sign, at the front of the building, where the road is, there's a huge Facebook sign, the thumbs up sign. They have security guards that stay out there because people from around the world come and take photos in front of the Facebook sign, which is why one of the things I was doing there. But when we were there, on the back of their sign, so this is the part of the sign that the employees see. Zuckerberg left the Sun Microsystems logo that's been there the entire time. It's all faded, worn out, it's beat to crap, right? And he left it there basically because he's saying if we do not as a company can always innovate, change, adapt, build, disrupt our industry, eventually we'll be just another company like Sun Microsystems.
The Sun Bleach sign.
Into it. Dude, it's so freaking cool. I love the innovation you guys are doing. It makes me think of Zuckerberg, except for you guys are probably more conservative and not so freaking liberal. Okay, enough of politics. Tyler, talk to me here, man. What was it like growing up, Tyler?
I grew up in a really, average family. We were really into athletics. Okay. I had an older sister that was like the best athlete ever. She was better than me at everything. Really? So it was like living in your sister's shadow as like a basketball player.
Were you, two of you guys? Two of you?
No, I had younger siblings too. Well,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
But you two.
We were close in age.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so
I've never heard that before. I was the oldest in my family. Yeah. And I've never thought about that. If you had this like badass sister who was just a great athlete, and you had to live in her shadows going through school.
It was tough.
That would be tough, bro.
Oh, yep. One time we got in a basketball tournament. She was older than me by like 20 months.
Okay.
And we were short a guy. Guy got sick for a basketball tournament, and the league operator or whatever said, "Oh, she could play. She's a girl." You know? And we won the whole tournament. And so all my friends were like, "Your sister's so much better than you at basketball."
Yeah. You got cut the next week. Was it a business-oriented family?
My dad was self-employed. Always ran kind of a owner-operator situation.
But was work for himself. Yeah. Gotcha.
So I grew up kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're like dairy farmer stock, Idaho dairy farmer stock. So that's like venturing way off the beaten path for my family.
Yeah.
So my dad, anyway. So I that's the home I grew up in.
Did you
business was a big
see?
deal.
A lot of times I love interviewing people because a lot of people grew up with like either poor with like nothing. You know, the family were 9 to 5 or whatever it was, or single homes, whatever. And then you have those that grew up in business families, and then kind of what you mentioned, entrepreneur, you know, so forth. Did you get to see a lot of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, or is it pretty steady all the way through?
It's a little both. So when I know now, I was too little to appreciate or care. We were poor when I was little because my dad was trying to start his business, trying to figure it out and stuff. And then by the time I was old enough to like be cognizant of what was happening, we were like more on the affluent side of, you know, America.
Gotcha.
So not rich, definitely not poor, except for when I was younger, but I didn't really care or appreciate it.
You didn't understand what was going on anyways.
No, get a bike from the DI, no big deal.
Yeah. Right on, man, right on. It's unique because you see kids that see the challenges of entrepreneurship, right? They grow up with seeing, you know, mom or dad losing an account or gaining an account, or, you know, someone doesn't pay them, you know, on a big job that they were working, and you see all that stuff as a kid, you know, where a lot of times kids don't get to see that side of the entrepreneurship. They're just, you know, mom and dad works at the post office and they come home at a certain time every day and so forth. It's unique seeing that. What about you, Landon?
The same. So I grew up in northern Utah in Ogden, actually, so kind of close to a city, but it's a small city. My family grew up, you know, not having really any money or anything like that, and me and my siblings, I have 5 siblings, we were always just kind of scrounging for ourselves, you know, out causing trouble and whatnot. But no, my parents, they were always trying to start businesses and stuff like that, and they had the entrepreneurial bug. But with having 6 kids to feed, it was pretty hard to make it through the tough times of the business. And then
the grinding phase.
Yeah, they'd grind it out, and then they'd have to sell the business or give up and go get a real job for a short time and then start it again. And I saw them start business after business a lot of times, you know. They put me to work as slave labor over there.
Oh, yeah, it's free child labor. Every entrepreneur that's out there that grew up with a family that was entrepreneurs, they're all like, oh, I work nonstop with my parents, basically. You know, there's a guy on the show recently that was sold jewelry. Oh, I think it was Ryan Gardner from Bucked Up, who's from Utah.
Okay.
And I think he was on the show telling me that his family were like farmers, and his mom started like a jewelry business one time, like little, you know, custom made, but lower end. And he was out there like as a teenager boy, selling like hair stuff and female jewelry on the sidewalks of his little town that he was in, because they were also the entrepreneur starting new business all the time. So you definitely saw the ups and downs of that side. Because you said they were opening new business, selling a business, starting a new one. You saw that movement constantly.
Yeah, I never quite made it. I hated it. I remember when I was a kid.
You did?
I did. So in order to play sports, we never had money, so I had to earn my own money. So I had a paper route, and I was milking goats in the morning. It was horrible. So, you know, just doing everything I could to make money.
That's
so
right.
I could
Milking
play football.
goats to a technology company.
Yeah.
Straight line path. I don't see any other option to do that.
You know, the bar graph, it was just,
just straight line, no wiggle room at all. So you guys start this business. Now I want to get to the disruptive side because that's what I'm attracted to. Tyler, you found the business.
Yep.
Tell me about kind of how you came about this idea, because it's a big idea. It's not an entrepreneur idea where it's like, again, nothing wrong with this, being a landscaper or a jewelry business, right? To me, your idea is one of those like national, change the world almost type of concepts. Tell me about how you came up with it though.
I got into some solar projects because I've co-founded a technology company, and we build mostly open source technology. And when we want to ramp up for a project and we don't have donations or the things that we want to do, we might take on a side job or a project, and we found a solar project that paid really nice and allowed us kind of the freedom of contract that we needed to go to ramp up some staff to take on a heftier project we were trying to do at the time. So I took on the project and got into the industry, started learning about it. It was interesting, but it wasn't that interesting until the company that I was working with acquired a big commercial provider. And the commercial provider, we started building the technology, same basic stuff, but the pricing was so different. So I started asking questions. I was just the geek, I didn't ask that many questions before. I wasn't that interested. But then I started learning about like, why is this half price essentially, and same equipment, same everything, same install crews, half price. And I started learning about that there really wasn't that good of a reason for why that was. One was more of an economy of scale. One was more of a novelty that was sold door to door. And you got all of these inefficiencies on the residential side. So I said to myself, wow, this is like a earth-changing, like industry-changing opportunity. Like this side efficiency could be brought over here even a little bit, and solar would be a big hit. So we started pretty much immediately saying, how do we build technology that brings the transparency? Because that's what business owners want. They want to see the return on their investment. The homeowner is more easily duped by that door-to-door guy that's kind of putting some fluff in the presentation. And so we said, how do we bring the transparency of analysis to the residential side, and can we provide this economy of scale on the residential side? Started building technology to do that.
You came in, you were working with another company,
Yep.
but not from a solar perspective, but more from a technology perspective.
Yep.
They hired your firm, whatever it is.
We partnered, yeah. We don't build anything that we don't own a piece of, but in this case, we partnered with them to build something that they needed. So we don't really build for hire, but in this case, that was the closest thing to that we'd ever done. Yep.
And when you got in there working, seeing everything, et cetera, you saw the opportunity.
Yeah, it was obvious. Yeah, it hit you right in the face. Yep.
You were there for technology purposes, but as you're going through it, you're getting punched in the face of, why is this one X, but this one's double the price, whatever it may be,
Yep.
when it's all the exact same equipment, basically.
Among a million other idiosyncrasies about the solar industry, that was the one that was like, oh,
This
not
makes-
only is this a weird industry, this could be priced insanely better than what it is right now.
And that's what created the idea of, I got to go change this up
Yep.
and rebuild out how solar is being used in America right now.
Yep.
From a residential, I know you guys do commercial, but from a residential side, you wanted to change it.
We're an impact company anyway. I care about energy is up there in basic human needs, so it's something that we had an interest in for that reason.
Talk to me a little bit about energy and how that maybe affects our future, our economy, kind of that side of it, maybe the bigger picture side of energy, and why you're so passionate about it.
Energy affects everybody. It's what powers our homes, our businesses, everything. And it makes the economy go. And so it makes a lot of sense. And so the problem with solar is there's a lot of biases out there that don't make sense.
Okay.
A lot of people just don't take the time to get educated on, one, where does their current power come from? Where are you currently buying all your electricity from? How is it generated? Is it through coal or natural gas, stuff like that? People don't take the time to do that because the bill shows up in the mail. You want to keep the lights on, you pay the bill. The utility companies have done a great job at just making sure people are automated in that scenario. Whereas solar, it's just another option of where that electricity comes from. But people just think it's too expensive because they haven't taken the time to research it and look into it and actually compare it to what they're currently buying. Once businesses and homeowners do that, it's very transparent that solar is a better option, even on a cost scenario. But even the bigger effects that happen with what's good for the environment and having clean air, especially in Utah, we have really dirty air because the mountains trap it all here in the valley and stuff. And there's a lot of things that solar can do for the entire globe to make it a better place. The hard part has always been financing and then cutting out all the BS in the solar industry and actually getting to what is it that solar's providing.
If all the American homes, let's just say make up a number, 100 million homes, went all solar, just in this futuristic made up world we're talking about, would that affect the environment in a super positive way? Scale 1 to 10, is that a 10?
Yeah, so the hardest thing about this, like everybody can relate to this, is people may have strong opinions about global warming or this or that about environment. The problem is the numbers are not really solid. Like we know exactly, we argue about what kind of impact we're actually making as a whole, right? Let alone like one thing. But yeah, how much of the dirty air production is coming from power production is a huge amount. When you consider that the same types of fossil fuel burning and stuff has to happen to power your home as powers a business or powers a car or otherwise, of all the pollutants, things that are being powered by the power grid producing energy, it's a large percentage of the total power that's being produced.
Yeah.
So not knowing exactly what the reversal would look like or otherwise. It sort of is like, it's like, switching to eating healthy. How much does one healthy meal make a difference in my life? I don't know, but I know what the cumulative effect of what I'm doing is. And I know that if I start reversing these things, what the effect is going to be. So that's it. How much would solar change that? A huge percentage of what's totally being contributed.
Yeah.
Is that a vision that you guys have? I'm just throwing it out there. Like to make all of America home solar?
Yeah. Are we tree hugging here?
I don't know.
Yeah. We are.
Is there a tree in here?
We are.
I think it is a great vision, but I mean, in the same respect, like to deploy that, like in actual real terms, to get that much solar onto the roofs to actually make a difference, I don't know if we have that much time and everything else. I mean, that's a massive undertaking. I think that you have to do all of it. I think you have to do renewables. I think you have to, clean up the air. I think people have to start, looking at things differently. Maybe nuclear is a great option there too, to provide power that's clean as well. That a lot of people just don't want to take the time to look into these things. Everybody wants something to be different and they want things to change, but they don't want to change themselves. And so that just carries over across the entire nation and the globe, and then everybody wonders why nothing's happening, and they think that it's an easy fix. But I mean, all of these issues take a lot of time, and there's plenty of other issues that we're not tackling here, with clean water or money or everything else that kind of just all funnels together as a
last question on this point here, kind of talk about green energy, renewable energy, and so forth. Cleaner environment, global warming, all kind of under this umbrella. What is your guys' take or thoughts on AOC and the new Green Deal? Positive? Is it doable? Is it made up of non-renewable energy that she came up with? What is the take on it?
It will be good for our industry as far as...
It'd be good for the industry of solar?
Because it'll draw attention and there will be funding involved. Will it be efficient? No. Like, this is our take on what we're doing, and I am quite an environmentalist. Like, I care about this in my personal life and what I do. What I care about probably more is bringing localization of control or power back to people and communities. So instead of energy is like such an awesome opportunity for an entrepreneur, for a community, for an investor. And it's mostly completely gobbled up and monopolized in just a few companies.
Yeah.
I like to localize the opportunity, also like to localize the control and the grid, and have people understand how my power gets produced. It's produced where it's consumed with solar, so it's produced locally. It's super efficient, super clean. That's all fantastic. If you start introducing too many government programs and otherwise into it, where there's more of the big guy providing, basically a replacement of the current system with something that may be greener, I don't know, but ultimately is likely to be just as inefficient. So it just depends on whether you plan to fund big organizations tackling this problem once and for all for everybody, or whether you plan to empower local entrepreneurs to do something about it contextualized for their community. So
Have you ever thought about being a politician? Because you just gave a crazy politician answer that was like mysteriously, incredibly wrapped around a bunch of, I don't know. It was really a simple question of like, do you support AOC? I think that's probably a better question I want to get to you.
do I support AOC?
Yeah, would you vote for her?
No.
You wouldn't vote for
I would
her?
not.
You would not?
I would not.
Even if she's going to do the Green Deal?
No.
still
We'll
wouldn't do
go
it?
it alone.
You stood alone? How would your company help with cows to get cows to stop farting? What would you guys do in that world right
Eat
there?
more beef. No.
Eat less beef.
They eat more chicken. All right, let me talk about Ray Solar here for a second. Okay, you guys start Ray Solar, or you start Ray Solar.
Yeah.
Give me the name. Why Ray?
Well, sun rays.
Yeah.
My grandpa's name was Ray.
Okay.
That's about it.
Tie the two together.
Someone's
Grandpa.
got to have a dumber name for how they came up with a business name, but that's up there.
Yeah, that's up there.
yeah.
I've heard a bunch of them. That one's up there. Probably the worst I've heard is I had a dream and named it after this dream I had.
Yeah. Have you tried to find domain names? We're an
dude, it's the
we're an
worst.
online provider. It's not like we
Yeah.
can take our first pick. you
Yeah,
know?
I know it's
So
impossible.
we have to have a .com.
Yep. No dot
Go
net.
hunting around for .coms these days.
Good luck.
Yep. So,
So you guys came with RayRaySolar.com.
Yep.
And that's really more the face of the company, right?
Yep.
If you will.
it is, yeah.
I want to talk about how you're disrupting this industry. There's the model, let's call it the original model here of solar, is more of a door-to-door sales approach to it. really the company that's doing solar, this is something I learned just talking to you guys, just putting it together, is really they're more of a, almost more of a contractor, if you will. I compared them to a roofer when we were talking. It's more of a roofing company.
It's a construction
They're
trade.
just a construction company, if you will, that's going door to door to make a sell. Instead of them selling windows, like Anderson Windows, which does door to door as well, that contractor is selling solar to the house.
Yep.
They buy it, right? Whether they buy it themselves or they get financing for it through a third party, and then the contractor comes back and installs it on the home.
Yep.
That's basically what how solar companies work, which is not what I actually thought before I talked to you guys. I thought it was something like super different, and really that's really what it is. It's just a contracting company that sells solar instead of decks or porches or building you on a new garage. They're just selling solar.
Yep. It's kind of a novelty, one-off construction project.
And so much of it is actually revolved around the construction company, versus like an actual solar company. There is just a construction company selling a solar product.
Yeah, in order to install solar, you have to either be NABCEP certified or an electrician, and so that's why, I mean, obviously it just naturally gravitated towards contractors.
Most of those sales driven from those massive companies that are out there, or smaller companies, a ton of small companies as well, probably obviously way more small companies, is door-to-door sales. That's how they're doing it. Just like a contractor would go door-to-door to sell a roof or a decking or siding, whatever it is. They're going door to door and they're making a solar sale. The difference may be in this one is that solar sale, that salesman may be making a freaking massive spread on that deal.
It is the best commission in the door-to-door industry, hands down.
Yeah, because I got buddies who literally sell windows, and they may go sell a $20,000 package of windows, and their commission may be like two grand maybe or something like that, $2,500 maybe on a package of windows. But in the solar world, it's not. It's like you sold a $38,000 package for solar, and that sales rep may make $15,000, $18,000.
Well, it's up to the sales. So the way that it works is, in the solar industry, you would call it a red line. The contractor's providing a red line that says, hey, for your organization, based on the volume, it's sales organizations and install organizations. That's how the industry is built. Now, some of the sales organizations will even take their installer's brand, but usually it's actually two separate companies still. So the installer will say, we can provide equipment, engineering, install, everything, warranty for this price, $2.30 a watt, $2.60 a watt, depends on their size.
The installer, the contractor.
The contractor.
The one who holds the licenses.
And you take your sales crew, you guys go out and sell it. Whatever you can sell above that, you keep. And so that's
above the 230 or whatever you just said.
And you're likely to buy from the best sales guy, and the best sales guy is likely to sell it to you for the most money.
Gotcha.
I mean, some sales guys are smart enough to realize there's a limit there. But anyway, the point is that's how the industry is built. Nothing against the sales guys, but that industry is going to go one direction. It's going to be a competition for who can sell for the best price.
So if ABC Contractor, and Landon, I know you've done thousands of these, overseen across the different states there. If ABC Contractor, installer, is willing to install it for $2, easy numbers, just call it $2 right now for sake of math, $2 a kilowatt, right? That's what they're going to install at. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
$2
a watt.
$2
a watt, not a kilowatt, a watt. And an average house may use how many watts?
Average house is probably 14,000 to 20,000 kilowatt hours a year is what they use.
Okay.
So that would be a 7 kilowatt solar system is what they would need to power that home, or a 7,000 watt system. It's three different things there.
$14,000 red line to get that thing installed.
So about 14 grand to install it, based off the wattage use. 7 kilowatts for that house. Per month. Is that right? 7 kilowatts per month?
The system is 7 kilowatts, meaning that's how much power it will, that's the size of the system. X amount of 310 kilowatt panels equals 7,000.
Gotcha. So the house will be using under that though?
Typically right around there. So we just, for easy conversation, we look at how many kilowatt hours or how many units of electricity the home actually uses in a physical year, and we try to get a solar system that'll produce that much or a little more or a little less, depending on the customer's needs. So essentially they're not relying on the utility company to provide that power anymore. The sun does all the work for them.
So let me go through this. So the way it works now, because this is where I got totally lost, because obviously I buy a ton of houses, and I just know nothing about, I've always looked at solar and thought, I'm not even going to go down that road, like just getting on my houses, talking about, like, it was just something I didn't want to do until I actually sat down with someone who actually explained it. And I was like, well, that's stupid. I should have did that for sure a long time ago. because what's happening in the industry was this 7 kilowatt house, for the sake of numbers here, right? And $2 a watt, and they're using a 7 kilowatt system, and that hardline may be used number 14,000. That 14,000 is basically what's going to cost to buy the panels and to install it, et cetera, for that property. And these are just ballpark numbers, not
and make a nice profit for the install company. They're profitable.
Yeah, of course. The install company's making money. They got the equipment's being purchased. They're going to pay their guys to install it. Plus, they're going to make profit. That's $14,000. The sales guys know that going in, that if I want to sell this system, it's minimum $14,000 in a roundabout number here for this one house, for the size of the house. It could be bigger or smaller depending on the house. But then they would sell it not for $2. They may sell it for $3.50 a watt or $4 a watt. Their objective, in all fairness, again, not against them, but their objective is to sell it for as high up as they can get that wattage use. Because if I understand it right now, if they were to sell it for $4 a watt versus $2 a watt, which is what they could actually sell it for, in theory, in this example, then if the red line was 14,000, then they just made 14,000.
That's correct.
Because it was at $2 a watt. They sold it for $4 a watt. They're going to make $14,000 sales commission on that one sale.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's exactly.
Which
how
is
the industry
really
works.
why the stupid ass numbers of how much solar cost exist. I would, being a sales guy, I would agree with that concept. Because a sales guy, and I am a salesman, I understand it. We're going to push that as high up as we can. That's our job. That's how we pay our bills. That's how we feed our families. Like
that's what you're incentivized to do.
That's what we're paid to go do.
Even if the first guy doesn't, it'll trend that way.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. It's all gonna go that way. Which is why it's kind of got crazy out of hand.
It is out of hand.
It's out of hand. Because you could literally make just as much on a commission as you could in buying it, installing it, putting it all on the roof, paying the crews to go up there, that company running their G&A overhead. And the commission guy could literally make the same amount just by selling it.
And I mean, to be fair, back in the day, 8-10 years ago, when solar wasn't as popular as it was, nobody knew what it was. It took a lot of time to educate the homeowner. It was a much harder sell. But now we're to the point where, we really think the industry is ready, where the homeowner can buy online. We have enough education on our platform and enough support to where if they want to talk to a real person that understands solar, they're not incentivized by a sales commission. We just want to give the end consumer the buying information that they need to know in order to feel comfortable making a purchase, whether that's from us or another contractor or whoever. We just want them to be informed on how to evaluate it, because there's still a lot of misinformation in the industry as well, and we try to level the playing field so people understand what it is that they're getting.
I love it, dude. It's such a brilliant concept where you're moving into. And anytime in business you can be right ahead of the curb is freaking where the massive businesses are birthed out of, right? Like it's where it happens at. And to me, I just listen and watch you guys, it seems like that's right where you guys are, like right on that curve of explosion in this industry, in this market, especially as we just move as a culture and a nation go back to just the renewable energy
Green New Deal
side of it, right? Yeah. But on top of that, then you just have the common sense approach to it. When you saw this kind of behind the scenes in the technology side, when you were building out these different systems, platforms, et cetera, for a solar company, this is kind of what you were referring to. You kind of saw this plus a lot of other stuff, but this is kind of what you saw was like, wait a second, dude, there's freaking crazy stuff happening that we should be able to innovate and do that way, way better for the customer standpoint.
An awesome opportunity that I felt was being botched.
And it was, and again, this happens a lot in business where industry is birthed and they go down a certain path and they're crushing it for however long, but eventually times change, industries change, cultures change, societies changes, and it seems that's kind of what's going on right now with the solar world where you guys are sitting at, right? I mean, even if you ever watched the History Channel, they had a great freaking show on like the men who built America. If you saw those shows or not, if you haven't, you should go watch it. And it's crazy because you see how industry changed though, and you see these titans of industry become some of the wealthiest men in the world, not adapt and change, and they would lose everything because they refused to. They thought it was always going to be done this one certain way, and they would just keep plowing this one certain way. And then the whole culture, society changes and grows, right? Another easy one to see it is social media. How much social media has changed our world, right? Everything from the election that just took place, like it's everything we deal with is some side of social media, right?
Yeah, well, eventually
Solar's kind of the same
gonna
way.
Facebook's going to be that washed out side of the sign sooner or later.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Unless they keep reinventing and keep changing and keep adapting. And where they bought Instagram, they bought WhatsApp, right? They're constantly trying to keep everything growing. They added in new features and messengers and marketplace and so forth. I mean, I give Zuckerberg freaking credit. The guy's a genius on always growing and moving and never sitting still and acquiring. But again, I mean, if you don't, you will freaking die. And it seems like just getting a picture of solar, that's kind of where the industry is. It's like we're on that curve of like the dead end road of you could go start a solar company now, and which I think I had some buddies who tried it recently, and with the old method of this door-to-door, old-fashioned kind of sales. But dude, it seemed like it's at a dead end. You guys came along and brought the internet into it.
Yeah, I think that the smarter people I've talked to in the solar industry know that what's happened currently, and some of the acquisitions that have happened in the industry and stuff recently also, these companies know that, kind of like the cell phone industry was at one time, novelty product, and then pretty soon, every cell phones, I mean, people in Africa that live in a hut have a cell phone, smartphone.
Yep.
And so what's interesting is if you were a cell phone company early and you had a little bit of beachfront property, when the masses started to come, you're not marketing anymore, they're calling in. It's good to have that beachfront. So I think that people know that solar is getting to a tipping point where the efficiencies are there, the pricing is there. It's inevitable that somebody's going to do what we're doing, which is try to bring more of an e-commerce experience to it, more of a transparent marketplace to it, and I think that the timing is good.
Yeah,
So
I totally agree, man. I love it. Landon, I want to go to you for a second because I know you're CEO of the company.
Yep.
Your background is in solar. How long have you worked in the solar industry now?
Almost 9 years.
9 years. I know you did a ton of sales, managing. Have you ever done the door-to-door side?
Yeah, that's actually how I got started. Was in the door-to-door
In the
side.
door side, door-to-door, and then worked your way all the way up, right?
Yep.
Give me a little background of credentials there as to how deep you went into, or how much you managed, teams you oversaw, states, whatever it is. Give me a little bit of credentials.
Yeah, so I actually helped start the door-to-door program for Solar City, which is now Tesla, before they had an outside sales channel.
Okay.
And so as a group of guys, we all brought it to them back in like late 2012, early 2013, and started building out that division for them. And since then, we went and opened different markets and states and grew it up to like 5,000 plus sales reps. And at the time, I just had gotten married. My wife wanted to start a family, stuff like that. And so I was just sick of moving all over the country and stuff. So I moved back to Utah and partnered with my electrical partner.
But wait, back up for a second. When you're doing all that stuff with Solar City, were you door-to-door, or you moved up from that and we're now managing and opening?
We were still door-to-door, but yeah, I was managing.
What you were doing?
Yeah, I was managing.
You were
at
managing
that point.
and opening up, okay.
Yep, and helping grow sales teams and stuff like that, and just
What's the
just
biggest
build it
sales
out.
team you managed at that time?
Like 30 guys.
30 kind of door-to-door sales guys in a market or a city, whatever it may be?
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
the whole division, I mean, I kind of blew my shot. I had an opportunity, hate to say it, but I had an opportunity to become like a bigger player in the Solar City realm, and I kind of just dropped the ball. I was young,
How old were you?
25,
Okay.
24, 25, and I just kind of dropped the ball. No, I was 27, sorry. Dropped the ball, and anyways, I lost my chance to influence a lot of, thousands of sales reps, but I still had a lot of fun. We had actually the biggest office, the most sales in the company. We had 47 install crews following our team around in Las Vegas before they shut everything down. It was a lot of fun.
Give me some sales numbers, just basic numbers in a year you guys would sell.
In
team.
like dollars amount?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just for people can understand it.
I used to have this stuff memorized, but millions of dollars a year, and $50 million a year worth of revenue and stuff like that was our team, and just doing massive stuff. I mean, they would throw sales parties for us, or they would rent out, I can't remember the hotel in Vegas, but we rented out like half the floor because they flew everybody in and stuff, and just massive parties they would throw and stuff. It was a wild time over there. It was a wild.
We have to talk
west.
to you off camera, get some more details.
we could share some
get
stories.
the real deets. But what I want to ask you is, I know you're in sales. A lot of these guys that are watching right now, they're in business. They have their own sales that they do, right? Obviously, you've got tons of experience in sales and then managing people that were strictly sales, strictly commission-based sales, kind of a different beast.
100%.
When you're talking about you eat what you kill, and if you don't kill, you do not eat this month. It is a different world. Understanding how that sales cycle works and the people, men and women who are doing it work. And I got a ton of respect for you because I know how difficult it is. But if you try to help the viewers right now, maybe they're doing sales. I mean, every company has sales. That's how a freaking company exists, is by sales, right? Sales have to come in unless you're a liberal. Now, listen, in this process, when you if you were trying to give some advice here to someone making a sale, what do you think one of the biggest hurdles or obstacles that someone faces when they're trying to make a sale with someone? What would be some of the advice there?
I would say it's understanding the actual customer, or getting to the root of the problem. What are they looking for? Because most of the time, what customers say I want and what I actually sell them is something different.
Interesting.
Because the customer doesn't really know what they want, and so for me, I don't like the sales approach of going in and just giving my spiel and tell them how awesome we are, stuff like that. That's not why they buy. They buy essentially you or me, and you know this being in sales. And so I just really want to get to the root of the problem, or why I'm there meeting with the homeowner or the business owner, and I just ask a ton of questions. Why do you want renewable energy? What's in it for you? Do you want to save the environment? They always say no. It's always money, unfortunately.
Sure.
And I just kind of dive into that. And the biggest thing is listening, because then they tell me what they want me to sell them on when I'm asking all these questions and actually getting to know them. I usually don't talk about my product all that much. I ask them why do they live there, ask them about their family and stuff. And then I actually get to understand who my customer base is, and then I know what direction to take my sales and try to offer the best solutions. So essentially, you're just trying to solve people's problems. Mm-hmm. I would say that's the biggest role of a salesman is listening, being educated, being willing to be flexible in the appointments, and then trying to solve people's problems that maybe they don't even realize they have.
Yeah, I always call it in the sales process finding the pain.
Yep.
It's just understanding what is the customer really hurting or facing right now. Like, there's something there. What is that actual pain? Which you could use the word problem, whatever word you want to put there. Because once you find the real problem, now we can address the real need that you may have as a customer. I agree with you. A lot of times as a salesperson, either what the customer is telling you that they want, it's not that the customer is by any means dumb or doesn't understand it. It's just they're going into a new maybe area, arena, whatever it is, and they're just confused as to how that arena works. It was like me when I sat down with you guys, right? I'm just uneducated in the facts of how solar works, right? Okay, I'm not dumb. I'm just uneducated in what you do. And then when you explain it to me, it's like, oh, that makes all the sense in the world. And a lot of times in sales, it's the same way, right? It's just, we don't really know exactly what we need, but we know we need something to fix it. And I agree. I think as a salesperson, if you can get to the point of what is that actual real problem, and let me see if what I have is an actual solution. It may or not be. I think it's the mistake that sales guys make a lot, is sometimes your solution is not what they actually need, but you'll keep pushing it on them until eventually they cave in, if whatever you say, and they buy it, even though it may not be the right solution of what they need.
Yep.
In a horrible example, it'd be like showing up to sell solar, and what they actually mean to call you about was pest control, and you showed up with solar, and you convince them to buy solar instead of pests when they actually have a massive pest problem right now, right? Your solution is not their pain, but you created a pain for them and then sold them the solution for the pain, right?
Yep.
Cool, man, cool. I do agree with you. I think it's so important to find the actual legitimate pain or problem that the customer's facing. I hate it when sales guys go sell their product.
They just hit the regurgitate. It's almost like they vomit on the table and like,
1, 2, 3, blah.
Sort through all this. Mm-hmm. I was told that if I do this, and I always do my ABCs that you guys are going to sign, it's like, dude, why are you doing that?
Dude, sales is a people business, you know what I mean? It's understanding human nature, people, psyche of people. There's so many things that go into it. I love teaching the sales side.
The key for us is, what I would say is, have you ever been sold an iPhone?
Have I ever been sold an iPhone? No.
No one ever gets sold. I'm an Android user, but you don't get sold an
you
iPhone.
You lost so much respect for me, dude. So much respect.
The show's over, so you
get out of here, bro.
Take the mics off.
If no one's ever sold an iPhone, why not? Because it's awesome. It speaks for itself. This is communication. People know they want cell phones, and they know this is a superior experience. At least when they first came out, and it was iPhone and everybody else, right?
Yeah, BlackBerry or whatever.
Some people still think that, right? But the point is you.
Well, I mean.
Totally. I mean, they're only 2 or 3 years behind Samsung on features now, so they're
sure,
right
bud.
there. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
whatever you say.
If we can make energy is like phones. Everybody needs it. They know they need it. Can we make solar so that it speaks for itself. We would like to make it so that the numbers are the sales process. Now, you still need marketing, you still need market education, but we want the sales guy to not have to, we want to remove the sales guy from the equation. We want to let the customer interact with what is the efficiency of what I'm getting. And just actually curious, so we talk about solar, we say, hey, at this price, solar makes sense. At this price, maybe not, especially not in Utah, where power's dirt cheap. But at this price, solar's a no-brainer. Now, the thing that's stopping you, just curious, so what, if you go home and you're like, okay, should I do solar? There's still hangups?
Yeah.
What is that?
What's the hang-up that people face?
Yeah, well,
as a consumer, as a customer.
You as a consumer, if we're like, hey, these guys just told me all about solar. Dang, what am I going to do next? Like, where are you going to feel the choke points?
The choke points that I would run into is a handful. Let me give you all of them that I would just go through.
Just
right?
curious,
One would be, is it really going to work? Mm-hmm. I think there's so many people that are afraid of sales guys, and we're so inundated with sales on iPhones, just on Facebook, right? It's just like unlimited, and you have your bullshit radar is so freaking high. That would be a big one for me. Like, is my bill really going to drop, or am I going to get a bill next month and it's the same freaking price, but I just bought all these panels?
Yep.
That'd be something that I would have in my head. Number two would be, how does this install work? Like, what is this going to take? How long of my time is this going to take? What's it going to make my house look like? That's the thoughts I'm going to go through. Another one would be, if it breaks, because I don't know how to fix this, do I climb up on the roof and take this thing down and take it to the local Home Depot and replace it? Like, I don't know how, if it breaks, what do I do? Or do I just lose my investment, right? That'd be a question. And the last one I come up to would be, how am I going to pay for this? Because the numbers that I've always been kind of throwing around are pretty big freaking numbers. How am I going to pay for this?
Yep.
Those would be the things that I would go through my head.
So yeah, so it does work. It does, in fact, offset your power. It's just got to buy the right amount of panels. So I think we're solving that by providing actual, like, non-sales driven data. That says,
let me take a pause right here, because I love this point about what you guys do at Ray Ray Solar.
Yep.
Because right now, if they're watching, they could literally go to Ray Ray Solar, yourwebsite.com.
Yep.
Type in their address, dimensions. What do they got to type in?
We just need like utility information, their address, and like an email.
You go in and put in your information as far as your address. It'll look up your home. You can say what your power bill is. You can be real general and guess an average monthly, or you can tell it the real kilowatt usage. Get a bill, look at it,
Pull it right off of it,
and then it'll generate a design for your home. And you can go down and look at your finance options, play with them, look at what the return.
To me, that's where everything changes, the disruptiveness, right? Because these guys, girls watching right now are sitting here watching this interview. They're probably at work. It's on in the background. They're listening to it about business, and they literally could go right now, take a break, go to RayRaySolar.com, type in some basic information. If you said, just guess at it right now. If you don't know what it is, just put a guess there and take a look at it. And it would, your technology, this is what sets you guys apart from everybody. Your technology immediately spits out a actual quote for them to get the solar built onto their property.
Yep. So there's a few.
Which no one really does that, do they?
Yeah,
No.
there are some good design processes. There's some good ones, but they sell for the same price as the sales guy. They are attached to a big proprietary system or company. So we provide that in transparency with all the options. That's the difference. Is you're able to shop. You can shop, go look.
Which literally could be like half off.
Yep.
40%, whatever the number is. I'm not holding you guys to the number, but the basic numbers we've been looking at were like 50%, 40% cheaper than those big competitors.
It is.
Because you're not paying this sales rep, which I'm not blaming him. I'm not upset at him.
Yep.
It's just the industry that's there. You're just not having to pay him.
Yep.
Not paying him, and we're using technology to group our sales so that we're getting more efficiency in the actual supply chain process.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible process. Which I want to go back to your answer, because you're going through some of the answers there. But I wanted to stop, because if they haven't done it, they should go look at your website. And even if you have no intention to put solar on, for you to just go look at it and see how much it would cost.
Yep.
Because it may surprise you as what you could actually get now
Yep.
For solar. You guys offer financing, of course, et cetera, there. But just going through it, like, solar does work. If it breaks, what happens? Tell me that one.
manufacturer warranty.
Okay.
Most of them are even going out to 30 years now. So the manufacturer will actually, most people don't know this, they'll actually pay for a service person to do the repair as well as pay for the new equipment.
Yeah, that's not unique to any installer. That's when you buy the material from wherever, that's just what comes with the system.
So it's just built in with this, let's just say 30-year, 20-year warranty on it. Okay, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. lot of times when I hear that, again, I'm just like, nah. How many times have I had a warranty from freaking Best Buy?
For sure.
So
On my vacuum cleaner, and it was like, oh yeah, that's actually not covered. Sorry about that.
let me put it in perspective this way. I mean, I've overseen thousands and thousands of installs, if not millions of solar panels being installed. And
There's a bunch on a house, not one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so
our
that's
average
why
is
so
like
many panels.
30 something
Yeah.
solar panels per house. And so in that amount of time, in 8 years, we've only had to replace 2 solar panels,
Really?
just to put it in perspective.
Okay, that does help me.
They don't
Yeah,
break.
the solar panels they're just robust. There's nothing to them. It's an aluminum frame with silicon glass and a solar wafer. That's it. There's no moving parts on the solar panel.
So in 8 years, you guys install these millions of panels. You've had to replace 2 of them.
Yep, from manufacturer defect. I mean, kids get up, smash them with a baseball bat, whatever. That's completely separate. But
Yeah.
from a manufacturer defect, yeah, that's all that we've ever had to do.
I got you,
And
okay.
same thing with the inverter. There's really 2 components when it comes to solar. There's the solar panels and the inverter. Everything else is wiring and stuff. You don't ever need to touch it. The inverters are things that will break. They break every usually 7 to 12 years. And those are designed to be replaced fairly easy, and they come with a 25-year warranty. And so for us to replace it, it only takes about a half an hour to an hour, and we're monitoring it the whole time. You get to monitor it the whole time to make sure that we did a good job, and we promised, because we have production guarantees, most solar companies do, and we say the system's going to produce X, Y, and Z. You have full capabilities to put us in check and say, hey, it is or it isn't. And we've never had a system underperform.
Yeah.
But because we're conservative on our numbers. But yeah, the inverter itself will break. And so when it does break, we just come out, send a guy out, pull it off the wall, slap a new one up there, and it's back up and running.
Okay. Go to the last point.
What was
my
it?
point.
Why don't you
My
guys say what it
fears as a customer, right, was breaking, it
Yep.
won't work, I'm being oversold,
Oh, the financing.
and then the financing part.
So the interesting thing about the financing is that's where I think our data says the choke point is. It's like, I love this. Don't really want another loan right now. Like, that's not the first thing that I really want. And so a couple things about that. Me personally, I would do that before I would pay cash. Cash is your best price, like, because solar loans are not cheap. So I might look at that. But the challenge is the rates on, say, a refi, if I did a refi and wrapped it into a green mortgage, are time value of money, not significant. So I'm looking at solar as equal with my utility payment. At our pricing, you're saving money in your very first month. You're not 8 years. That's what normally the spiel has been for me. Get a guy at my door. Hey, I'm looking at the numbers and doing them. I'm like 10 years, 12 years, 8 years, and I'm breaking even. And it's like, oh, maybe I'll wait till it gets, till this industry catches up. When you're saving money in your first month, like it or not, you may not have a loan out there from your utility company, but you're going to pay your power bill every month for the next forever. Right. So this is with solar, not only can you save money in your first month, but there's an end in sight. You pay that thing off and you're done with that. So that's as far as the financing option goes. Now we have some really cool stuff that we're doing that's local financing options, that's automated approval, isn't going to lien your home. Those are some cool things. So for when people go to our site and check out, I can't speak to the whole nation, so because it depends on the area. But if your area has localized financing options, then now you're really in sweet because you're not taking out a loan. You're signing up for a new power company instead of whoever your existing dirty power company is.
And that's kind of where another angle where you guys are disrupting the marketplace, and it's not just in the website side where you're cutting out the middleman and going direct to consumer and letting them buy it online with education platforms and so forth. Then you shift also into, you're in the process right now of rearranging how the financing side of it works for the customer as well.
Yep.
I like how you just said it right there, where you're basically not taking a second mortgage on your house, you're just signing up for a power company.
Sign up for a new power
That's all it
company.
is. And
Yep.
you guys are behind the scenes working on getting, I'll put it in my terms, a lender, an investor, et cetera, who's just fronting the money
Yep.
for the product, if you will.
Yep.
And you guys are signing up for a power company, which totally changes the freaking game into this market right here. Let me just for a second, because I want to get deeper into the funding lending cycle. I think that's kind of where you guys are really headed.
Yep.
Of how you're going to change this industry of solar world that's out there. Before I do that, I'm actually going to break this down into, which I've never done before. I'm going to break it down to a 2-part show. because I want to go into the lending financing side of it.
Okay.
And I want to show how that's going to change the industry itself. So it's kind of been like in part one right here, you have this world of what's changing is the direct to consumer, cutting out the middleman, getting rid of the whatever number, $10,000, $8,000, $15,000 commission, and giving it back to the homeowner, basically, if you will, where they're not paying it. The homeowner also gets tax credits. We haven't even covered that piece of it yet, right? There's a lot of tax credits out there as well. Power bill goes down. Am I saying all this right? I feel like I'm making your sales pitch for you, bro.
You're hired.
Shoot, you guys should freaking hire me. You're done, Landon.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Get
See you
you
later.
freaking green deal person.
One of the bigger plays there too is all the work's done by local installers. So you're still supporting your local contractors and communities and stuff like that. And we're giving all the power back to them because now they can keep running their business. We don't want to take business from them. We just want to make it easier for them to get business and educate the consumers on how these processes work.
Let me ask you this: who should look at? Someone watching right now. Who should be looking at using solar?
Who?
Yeah, who's a customer that should be looking at it?
Who uses power here? Everybody raise your hand. You should all be looking at solar because
Is that
everybody uses
simple?
electricity.
The first thoughts in my mind is it still is a slam dunk for businesses that may not think of, like, I don't know why it doesn't occur to businesses. They have way worse power rates in most states and most localities than residential.
I just think people just don't know.
They just don't know.
I think it's just uneducated, don't know. I don't know that. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I thought I got the same charge here that I did for my house.
Yep.
I don't?
No.
Damn them.
Yep. They get you.
Yeah, I'll show you your bill and then I'll show you a comparison. I'll show you what solar could do. Then you'll really be pissed off.
Sometimes it's double for commercial rates.
Yeah.
So and it depends because for commercial rates you pay not like per kilowatt hour usage. It depends on how and when you use.
The timing.
So for some businesses especially, it's a slam dunk. And the solar is still the best pricing in commercial. Like we're trying to chase commercial. That's our whole goal as a company, is to chase that commercial price point.
Yeah.
So that's the one that immediately comes to my head that normally doesn't think of themselves as a consumer. But right now renewable energy is something that people should do. Solar is the de facto viable priced option in renewable energy. You can do solar in our world cheaper than you can do almost any local power provider. So it's a no-brainer to us.
Well, solar's also been the cheapest form of electricity in the world since 2015. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's why utility, if you look, I mean, all utilities across the nation are dumping billions of dollars into solar and renewables for this exact reason, because they know that it's a fixed cost for them. They don't have to keep buying it, and they can then sell it to homes and businesses at a much larger margin than they could in the past because of, just the economies of scale when you're doing massive solar farms and stuff of that nature.
So if someone has a home right now, they're watching, they got a house in ABC state, wherever it is, they should just go figure it out and see if it's actually going to save them money, or let me back up, it will save them money. Is there a way that it could not save them money?
If they go with the wrong installer.
If they go with the wrong installer, if they pay double the price for commissions.
If they overpay, I mean.
That's where the numbers get tighter at. Because the higher they pay, that $2 to $4 spread, just making those two numbers up right there on a watt, the higher they pay closer to that $4 mark, that just means the less their change of their bill they're going to see. Yep. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
So if they were closer to the $2 mark, they'd be seeing a more significant change.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there are also, every utility is different on the incentives, because like during the day when you're not using electricity, you usually give it back to the utility, or it's called net metering, where you sell power back to the power company and then they sell it to the local businesses there. All those rates are different. So depending on your local utility, that will change your number slightly, and so that's what we try to look into for you as well, is how all of these processes work and what programs are out there and stuff of that nature.
You going to say something?
Just building off what he was saying, that's actually what we sell. We sell a guarantee for the pricing, and we sell a process of auditing those things, making sure that you have the best options selected. So some of our customers go and they work with us, and we just connect them directly with an installer, and they get going. But most of them pay a $99 fee, and for that, they're able to swap installers. They don't like their installer, they get a bad experience at their site inspection or whatever, we'll swap them, guarantee their pricing, and audit all their financing options, their net metering options, walk them through everything. It's kind of a white glove service. So
I love it, man. I got so many freaking questions in my head, and I want to move into the financing side. I'm out of time right now, so I want to get you back on, and I want to go to the financing world, because I think just from a business owner understanding it, to me, the financing play that you're looking into is a play that could change the whole industry, kind of across America, depending how big you go with it.
Yep.
Because it makes it where you're just signing up for another. You're just changing internet providers basically. Really what you're doing. I mean, not internet. I'm sorry. Utility provider.
I thought it was a good analogy.
Yeah, the same thing, right? You're just changing.
Drives it home.
You're going from DirecTV to whatever Comcast, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
In your area, and it's just as easy as switching over. Versus right now, it seems like the old model is just like big, clunky, slow driven. Get a second mortgage, or put a lien on your house, or go borrow some money from a credit union, or put on a credit card, whatever it is. There's loan options out there as well. Where you guys are moving into a much more fast paced. If you want this, sign the contract and you're good to go. You're pre-approved. Let's go
and
put it in.
Completely transferable to the new homeowner, stuff like that. So you don't have to question, what if I sell my home? What am I stuck with that loan or whatever? It's paid for through just buying power.
Yeah, I freaking love it so much, man. Let me do this on this episode here. I got through 0 of my questions, by the way. I want to end it with this because I always end it with this right here. If you can, I'm gonna do this for both of you. Just give me a 60 second, 2-minute little business advice. Okay, you guys are in a business right now. You are really going uphill because it's a little bit like, it reminds me a little bit of Elon and Tesla. I mean, he was, when he started competing against the big 5 that did not want him anywhere near their industry, right? They still don't want him anywhere near the industry. He revolutionized how cars were bought, from a massive car dealership that had 300 cars to a small storefront at a mall with 3 cars in there. Completely revolutionized not just the car itself, but how it was sold, how it was produced. Everything about it was start to finish was done differently. And I see a lot of that with you guys. If you can, just for the business owners watching right now, what would be some advice you would give them as kind of your final thoughts of the show here on how to be successful in business? I'll start with you, Tyler, and then I'll go to Landon over here. Just give the viewers kind of your last words of advice of how to be a successful business owner in whatever it is that they're doing in their industry.
Yeah. So success is relative, but my main thing is business is hard. Building something is hard. I mean, if you're not building something or doing something hard, I feel sorry for you, but you should build something that you feel like is an iPhone, even though I don't use iPhone. You should, just gotta throw that in there. You should build something that you feel like is fantastic, that the world needs, that actually improves people's lives, because a lot of people, they spend their whole life on business. I have met people that are really wealthy. I've met people that are more in the middle mass affluent range. Their lives aren't that different. So it can't be worth all that effort unless you really believe in what you're doing. If you really believe in what you're doing and you're savvy to some degree, then you'll get through the hard times and it'll be worth it. You'll get to the end and you won't be unhappy about what you did. My first business I built, I got to kind of achieve my goals. I was so unhappy.
Yeah. So I've been there.
This time around, we're having fun. So win or lose, we're having a pretty good time.
Yeah. So your final advice there is basically, whatever you're doing, make sure you freaking love.
You gotta believe it, man.
Yeah. What you're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough when you do love it. If you don't love it, that's why I think so many people quit in business. They think it's gonna be this fun, cool idea, concept of whatever they're gonna do, and as they get into it, they realize, I don't even love what I'm doing, and I have all this extra pressure, stress, etc. And they immediately are bouncing out of it, right? Pretty quick. Landon, I go to you. Kind of final words of advice for these business owners watching here.
Playing along with what Tyler said. I'm not quite as smart as Tyler is, but I just
picked up on that.
Yeah, it's transparent, right? Yeah. But just be relentless. I mean,
that's a great word.
You gotta believe in yourself and just be relentless. I can't tell you how many people, when I left making really good money at what I was doing, said I was stupid and why would you do that? And now, a lot of those guys have now like, hey, Landon, I see what you've done over the, your career. How do I team up with you and how do I work with you now and stuff? And, which is kind of comical because, I took it really personal back in the time, but I just, luckily, I'm not that intelligent. So I just kept plowing forward. And that's any business owner. It's always an uphill battle. You never know if you're going to succeed. But you might as well take the risk. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than not taking the risk and just being relentless in your endeavors and just believe in yourself and your vision. And like Tyler said, just make sure it's something worth all of your time and effort because it's draining.
Yeah, it's gonna suck up your life. I mean, that's what it does, right? Yeah. I love the word relentless. It's a word that I literally live by. I don't know if you read the book Relentless. There's a book named Relentless by Tim Grover. If you haven't read it, You should try it to read. Great book. It is talking about what you're talking about there. I interviewed a guy that's like one of his like associates. Kind of the same thing. They're not. He doesn't work for him. Called Alan Stein. His name is Alan Stein. He came on the show recently. And he wrote a book called Raise Your Game. And it's basically the same thing you're talking about. Like Alan Stein is a personal high performance coach for like Kevin Durant on Golden State and Harden, James Harden. Like he gets with these super high end athletes and then shows them how to perform even more. Like how do you go to the next level of what you're doing? These are already like some of the greatest ball players of all time. And his job is to then make them even better. And a lot of it has to do with like that person who's just like, why does Kevin Durant need to go higher? But that's all he knows is to keep pushing, that relentless, never stop, keep going, no matter what level you're at. It's like we'll just keep going, right? So another great book, and I can introduce you to him as well. Alan Stein, great guy. But he's talking about that, just being undeniably relentless at what you're doing. And in business, I think it takes that, man. That just true grit, freaking unlimited drive. Both your answers are very similar in the sense of business is freaking hard enough as is. Do something you hate, don't be dedicated and have that drive inside of you, dude, you're headed for dead end roads very, very quickly actually. Because business is like
just go get a pension instead.
Yeah, just go to the post office and go get a government job because they don't know what they're doing. So you should go there. All right, I'm gonna get you back on the show because I want to go to the financing side because I think it's where the industry's gonna change. I think just being around you, talking to you, I think it's the game changer. I think you already have as a game changer, like going to direct to consumer. That's a phase of it, right? But in every business, to be a true game changer in any industry, you have to have kind of what's referred to in business as a utility, meaning something that makes you completely different from everybody else, that everybody has to have it. And once you get something that people have to have, you have this utility, and that's what can change an industry, right? I'm doing one right now on our sports side that I'm just kind of the same thing. You find the gap, and then it wasn't about creating another business. It's about creating a business that gives a utility, or that one piece or two pieces that the customers have to have to go play this game. And I think your next move in the financing world is going to be that utility piece that completely can change, flip on its head very quickly, the industry itself. So I want to spend a lot of time actually on that. A, because I want to understand what you're doing, but B, I also want the viewers to understand how they can change the industry and what they need to be able to change the industry. So I'm going to get you back on the show. We'll do another episode on the funding, lending, financing side of solar and how you guys can disrupt the market. Okay, those that are watching, hey guys, I appreciate you watching the Money Is Show, and I look forward to you guys watching them again with Tyler and Landon. Right now, Tyler and Landon, if they want to follow you or to get more information on solar, just go to rayraysolar.com. They can get a solar quote in the next 10 seconds, basically. How long it takes you to type in your information, you get a solar quote of how they are disrupting this industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time on the Money Is Show.